And so it seems like at any time we start on a brand new radio affiliate,
there's always somebody who is shocked by what they hear. And
somebody
no
like
doubt
Tim.
It is completely unlike what you hear on the radio these days.
It is true.
Because we're not liberals, we're not conservatives, and it tends to rankle somebody on either side, whether it's a liberal or conservative station we happen to be on.
Right. On this show tonight, if you want to know what I think the appropriate terms would be for those of us behind the mics, I would choose voluntarist. Mark, you would choose
libertarian.
And Dale?
Anarchist.
Anarchist, of course. Dale with his libertarian macho flash.
Too.
Or anarchist macho flash. All right, so yes, it's inevitable that somebody like Tim will call in. And Tim, welcome back. You've been very good. You've been a very good sport, indeed. Yep. And we've been talking to you about war, specifically the Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts, and of course you've been taking kind of the typical pro-state position of because it's not, well, your position isn't really a Republican or Democrat position. It's a pro-state position that war is this war is good, that the 100,000 people that have perished at the hands of whether it's starvation or the troops themselves or whatever, those people are what you call collateral damage, and you've just written them off. But before we went away, and we do have somebody that wants to talk to you here in a little bit, another caller.
Okay.
But before we went away to break, I was addressing an issue in the way you're speaking, and it's something that afflicts me, too. So I'm guilty of this myself, Tim. You'll hear me do it from time to time, and I'm trying to get over it. But it's this way of thinking and this way of speaking, this very collective sort of way where you group people into groups that really shouldn't be grouped there. Essentially, you're grouping Afghanistan people or Iraqi people into these groups as though they're all associated with the terrorists, and that
I don't mean it that way.
Well, then who are these people?
Innocent civilians.
Okay,
right? But they get caught in the way of war. How did we win World War II? The 8th Air Force bombed firestorms in Germany. We dropped the bomb on Japan. Unfortunately, a lot of innocent civilians died, didn't they?
It's also unfortunate that World War II occurred because it's likely the U.S. government's involvement in World War I that actually paved the way for Hitler and the conflicts in World War II. So if the United States government had actually, honored their Constitution and stayed the hell out of World War I, World War II likely would never have occurred.
Not to mention that the United States government turned down overtures of surrender from the Japanese government because they wanted a complete unconditional surrender. So they killed those million people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki essentially because they wanted an unconditional surrender. The only condition that the Japanese government wanted was that their Emperor Hirohito still be called a god, which the United States government ended up giving them anyway. So those million people died in Japan for nothing.
All right, you don't think what did the Germans do to the Jewish population in Germany? They exterminated.
They wouldn't have done it if the United States hadn't have gotten involved in World War I. German people didn't want to kill Jews. Hitler wanted to kill Jews. Hitler would not have gotten into power if it wasn't for the
chancellor.
Come on, man.
Hang on, Tim. Now pay attention here because this is history.
I'm telling you history, Tim.
You're not what about what?
History about Germany and World War I and World War II.
What you think that because the United States entered, which was under Woodrow Wilson, while we went to World War I.
Correct.
You think that caused the Versailles Treaty and all that?
Yes,
a lot of people
because
do, actually.
it's pretty much established fact that the weight the United States threw behind the Allies in World War I essentially paved the way for this very lopsided treaty that was the Treaty of Versailles, because Germany was still losing World War I when the United States got in, but they lost decisively. There wasn't this sort of it was completely lopsided, and if it hadn't have been, the treaty wouldn't have been so arduous on the German people. Therefore, they wouldn't have allowed a guy like Hitler, a madman, to come to power who was talking about, Deutschland über alles and all that stuff. And you wouldn't have had the Jews killed. So one could say that Woodrow Wilson killed those Jews.
Oh, and don't remember that Woodrow Wilson,
Hitler killed them Jews, man. Jeez.
Well, actually, the guards in those prisons did it. Those guards in those prisons did it. They're responsible. They did the act.
Woodrow Wilson
was responsible for it.
Well, Woodrow Wilson was responsible for it then, because all Hitler did was tell the guards to do it, and all Woodrow Wilson did was send our troops in there.
Woodrow Wilson ran on a campaign of staying out of war and broke his campaign promise and got involved. Look,
that sounds familiar, doesn't it? That seems to be a really common.
Yeah. History's repeating itself. And look, Tim. All right, Let's go back to this kind of concept that you uttered before the break, and that was these people, that you wanted to go after these people that were responsible in your mind for the attacks on the Twin Towers. You wanted to go after these people. Well, who are those people? Are you saying that it's somebody other than the folks that actually flew the planes into the buildings and incinerated themselves?
I am not. I'm speaking about the terrorists and wherever they came from.
What does that mean, to be a terrorist? Do you mean someone who has actually engaged in a terrorist attack? Because if that were the case, that would make sense. But you're not talking about that, right? Because there haven't been any other terrorist attacks on the United States territory since that time.
We've been suffering terrorist attacks since 1974, I believe.
Who has?
The American people.
In this country?
American citizens overseas, yes.
Oh, American citizens overseas. So you're saying if an American citizen goes overseas and some suicide bomber attacks there, that's good enough reason to move the U.S. military into action and invade that area and kill a bunch of people?
You're darn right it is.
You're out of your mind. Let's go to the phones here.
Sorry.
And let's talk to Zach in D.C. You're on with Tim. Zach, you're on with Tim in Delaware.
Hi, guys.
Zach, you're on with Tim.
Hi.
I think Tim is touching. I mean, I wouldn't say Tim's right, but I think he might be touching on some concepts which are somewhat right about the collateral damage. However, that only applies in certain circumstances.
Like actual war, in that somebody would have had to have declared war? Because I can tell you that didn't happen. Thank you for the call tonight, Zach. Appreciate hearing from you. Tim, your thoughts?
We've not had a declared war since what?
World
War II, have we?
That's correct.
How do you feel about that?
Korea wasn't what? Korea was a great loss of life. We didn't win that war.
No. How do you feel about that? The lack of declared wars.
Well, I don't really know because I've never fought in one. All right.
No. I just from from a constitutional perspective, because I know that goes over real well.
Well, yes. We should declare war because then it would be all out. And then we could, like we won the war in World War II, if we declared war against in Korea or Vietnam or Afghanistan or Iraq, we'd thump them hard.
Well, 100,000 people dead and 100,000 people collateral damage dead in Iraq, and you're saying we haven't gone all out?
Now, come on.
What is it? How much collateral damage would it be if we had gone all out?
The way you described it. A million people.
Well, if we dropped the bomb,
that
would be all-out war.
You want to drop a bomb?
Please don't say that.
No, I didn't say that. You're saying you say one thing and I say another.
I'm just trying to understand you. That's
I want to clarify historically about Afghanistan and Iraq. The United States military won the war in both of these places within a few weeks of entering.
You mean by defeating the military?
By defeating the state. Yes. A war is a conflict between states, and you cannot have a war on terror because terror isn't a state.
It's a nebulous concept.
Right.
What
essentially,
are we gonna do?
I don't know.
What are who going to do?
I have a suggestion.
What is we as American people? Are we going to let people come into our country and keep bombing us?
I would love to answer this question for you.
Yeah,
I'll answer this question for you.
It's a good question.
What we should do as the American people is demand that our government remove all of the troops from foreign countries, and then organizations like Al-Qaeda, which is run by people from Saudi Arabia, will not be upset with us for having troops in Saudi Arabia and propping up a king that they cannot depose. Right. And therefore being essentially mercenaries, the world's mercenary.
I also have an answer for that, and I'll give it to you here in a bit. And I want to thank you, Tim, for the call tonight. We got to make room for other folks here at 800-259-9231. Good discussion. And I do want to still answer that question. What do you do about it? Because, Mark, your answer is a good answer, but it wouldn't necessarily solve the bad feelings that those people still have. So maybe bombs would still be brought over here. Maybe there's still that specter that might hang over.
It could happen.
So what do you do about that? We'll address it coming up here in moments. Hour 2.